Hey everyone, welcome back. If you didn't see the little short video I did, a shout out to director. Apologies for the last 2 days not getting anything out. I came up with something, stomach bug, I don't know, I felt like shit for the last 2 days. And also apologies for the last few videos, the audio was a little low. So hey, I always talk about such a low production on this channel, but look at this. I got a little mic, so hopefully that solves some issues. Anyone let me know how it is, how the sound quality is, if it's better than the last few videos and everything, because I just spent like a half hour testing this shit, so it's probably the best it's gonna get. So there's gonna be no more effort going into it. I'm kidding. If it's bad, let me know. But let's continue on with the Child's Play franchise with Child's Play 2 from 1990, so just 2 years after the original. And we got director John LaFia, who took over for this movie from Tom Holland, who directed the first one. And LaFia was also a co-writer with Mancini and Holland on the first one. So it makes sense that he would step into the director's chair. So let's hop into Child's Play 2, which takes place 2 years after the original film. And now we have Andy is living in foster care and ends up being put with the family, the Simpsons, which I just think is hysterical that they called them the Simpsons. But the opening shot of just the opening shot of this movie, this is my favorite in the series by far. Like by far, my favorite Child's Play Chucky film. Just the way Chucky looks in this movie is great. Like, it's my favorite looking Chucky out of the whole franchise. And we get that opening shot with just like his charred face and just zooms in on his eye and everything. Really, really cool stuff. And the whole thing of just rebuilding him and everything, like rebuilding the doll and stuff. I don't know how that like resets his humanity. Like he had to get out of the doll and stuff and put his soul into Andy in the first movie, so because he was becoming human. And then apparently after he's rebuilt, it resets the clock, I guess, because then he starts saying, I'm turning human again. But like, weren't you already human in the last movie? I don't know how voodoo works and all that shit, but apparently it resets the clock. So we find out that Norris and the other cop fucking flat out denied everything that happened in the last movie with the doll. What an asshole, dude. Seriously? Mike is a dick. And after everything that he went through with Karen and Andy and stuff in the last movie, and he was like blown away by everything that he was seeing with this doll and stuff like that. And the last line with the cop saying like, who's gonna believe us, or like, who's gonna believe me, the cop was saying personally and stuff. And I said at the end of that one, like with all these type of movies and stuff, like you're gonna be institutionalized, like without a doubt, because who is gonna believe that? And after all that and caring for Karen and everything like that, he just dicks her over completely and denies it all. Dude, what an asshole, man. And Karen, the mom, ends up under psychiatric care in a hospital because she's stuck by her son, which is, you know, commendable and being a good mother. But it landed her in the fucking psych ward, man. So I don't remember it now that I'll be watching the whole franchise back to back and stuff. If we ever hear about Karen again, maybe in the third film, but I'll find that out in a little bit. Then we get the whole electrocution scene with the guy putting the eyes back into Chucky's body, and it just I don't know the word I'm looking for. It fucking doesn't work. It malfunctions. There you go. Malfunction. That's what I was looking for. And just shocks the shit out of him, and he flies through the glass window. It's a cool little scene. This, again, like the CGI and stuff for the electricity and stuff, like the lightning in the first movie. Meh, but it's a cool little opening with all those, just seeing Chucky being put back together and stuff is really cool. So then, how does Andy know when he's talking to the psychiatrist or whatever in the foster care place, and he's explaining everything that happened with Chucky and stuff like that. And first of all, he says, the psychiatrist says like, oh, that must be a real scary dream. And Andy says it was. I don't get that at all. Like, what does that mean? Like, they convinced him over 2 years that this was all a dream? Because his mom is gone. His mom's in the psychiatric ward. So, like, he knows his mom ain't around no more. So, like, what does that even mean, that it was a scary dream? Like, none of that makes sense and never did to me. Like, just the implication of the psychiatrist telling him that, you know, this was a scary dream you had, and then him answering, I know. Maybe he just doesn't want to sound crazy by like saying, no, it really happened or so. I don't know, but that little line always fucking got to me. But how did how did Andy know? Because he starts explaining it and saying that Chucky wanted to put his soul into me, and because he was turning human, and he had to put his soul into the first person he revealed his true self to. How did he know that? We never saw Chucky tell him that. So, like, how did he know that whole story behind, like, Chucky's motive and what he had to do to get out of the doll and everything? Because he never fucking said that to Andy. Like, I'll tell you that right now. So that was just exposition for the audience, I guess, to recap. But, yeah, he never said that to Andy, ever. Unless, like, he whispered it in his ear, but then, like, that goes against his whole plan of trying to take over this little kid's body. So, like, you would think Andy would run like hell if he like told him his plan like at the beginning or nearly like the beginning middle of the movie before he actually comes alive in the first one. So that's a little weird too. But great seeing Grace Zabriskie in this. I love her so much. As I've said on the channel, David Lynch is one of my favorite directors of all time. Twin Peaks is one of my favorite shows of all time, and we have her as Laura Palmer in that, in Twin Peaks, which she's just phenomenal in, and everything else I've ever seen her in. She's just such a great actress. I really love Zabriskie in anything. Talked about the dream shit. The fact that when the family is driving home with Andy and they almost get in an accident and it's because of the big ass good guys truck, that's brilliant. I love that so much. It's just like still hammering home for this poor kid that even after everything with Chucky and stuff like that, he still almost died in a car accident with the good guys truck. Like it all traces back to these fucking dolls, man. Like everything has to do with this fucking doll trying to kill this kid. And you feel so bad for Andy in these movies. Like you really do. He's such a cute little kid and stuff. It's like, really? Like, this kid's been through fucking hell, man. Like, then he almost dies from a good guy truck causing an accident. That's ridiculous. And then we get to meet the great Kyle for the first time, which I was so happy. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the show, and just skip forward a few seconds to see Kyle in the show again. And have her still be like friends with Andy after all those years and everything. That was so good getting her in the TV show again. I can't wait for season 2 in October. Will be absolutely awesome. What are the fucking chances that, like, we know how big this company was and everything from the first film I was talking about. Like, they have fucking cake mix, good guy cake mix. And cereal, and a TV show, and fucking sleeping sneakers and shit. Like, come on, like, this is like a fucking monopoly. Like, this is like an evil corporation, man. Like, but so, yeah, they were very popular, but this is 2 years afterwards. I mean, how many, like, big craze items, like, look at, I mentioned the last one, like Furbies, or, like, Tickle Me Elmo and shit. Like, they're usually, like, the rave thing for, like, a Christmas or something. And then that's it dies down. So apparently these good guy things are just like never ends. Like people just, everybody has one. Because what are the chances that he goes to this foster home and they just happen to have another good guy doll just conveniently stored in the closet to just scare Andy like half to fucking death, dude. Like, come on, they knew the story. Like, Grace Zabriskie's character was the foster care runner and stuff. And I think it's cute that her name is Grace in the movie, and it's the actress's name. But she told them the whole story about the good guy doll and Andy thinking it was possessed by Charles Lee Ray and everything like that. The first thing you don't think of is to go home and, like, check that you don't have one of those things to scare this poor kid like to fucking death. That's so ridiculous. Like I feel so, like, even more than the last one, I feel so bad for Andy in this movie. Like he just goes through so much, man. And then we have the CEO guy take the Chucky doll and stuff to get rid of it, and he runs in the liquor store. And 1990, when apparently you didn't have they didn't accept credit cards in liquor stores. Apparently, he's like, it's a gold card, and he's like, it's accepted everywhere. Not here, it's not. It was like, I don't remember if it was like that in 1990. I was only 2. So I was a little far away from having a credit card. But that still seems a little ridiculous to me, that this guy didn't accept a credit card at a liquor store. I mean, maybe it's possible. I'm sure somebody who's like a good 20 years on me could comment and let me know if that was the case. But because I'm not looking it up, I'm not like that interested in it. But just a little observation, like I always do. And then he kills the guy. Chucky kills him with the plastic bag, and oh, it bothers me so much in every movie that has a kill like that with a plastic bag over the head, that they can't, why don't they just and pop the fucking plastic bag so they can breathe? And there's one movie that actually finally did that. The girl in Terrifier, which was such a great movie. I can't wait for the second one. It's been delayed for like many times because of COVID and everything. That fucking COVID has ruined everything, man. Even horror for us horror fans. God damn it. But still, like in that movie, I was cheering because he tries putting the bag over her head and stuff, and she finally, somebody in a horror movie goes and fucking pops it open, and then she tears the bag apart. And I was like, yes, finally, somebody who has a fucking brain cell who can get out of that situation. But no one in movies seems to be able to do that. Like, they just don't think in the moment. I'll never understand that. And then we have just Chucky versus Tommy, fucking, which is hysterical. And his whole little, hi, I'm Tommy. Like, that's so funny. This is when, like, the humor really started creeping into the series. Like, this movie is much more comedic than the first one. It's still nowhere near, you know, like Bride and Seed as it went on, but this movie has a lot more comedic aspects to it than the first one, like by far. And even the first one, like I said in the video for that, like had its moments and stuff. But this is where we get like wisecracking Chucky for the first time and everything. And then he just destroys that Tommy doll, man. And just I can't praise Brad Dourif enough. Like, I'll be saying it through all 7 of these movies. Like, his performance, his voice acting is just fucking phenomenal, and is just inseparable from Chucky. Like, it's just, like I said in the last video, Chucky is Brad Dourif, and Brad Dourif is Chucky. You cannot hear Dourif's voice in anything else, like, where he's acting and stuff, and not think of Chucky. It's absolutely unreal how he brought this doll and this character to life and turned it into a horror icon and everything. Because his whole evil laugh and stuff while Chucky's burying Tommy by the swing set and stuff is so good, man. That's like the first time we get like his long maniacal laugh, and it's so good. I love that so much. And I love Andy and Kyle's relationship in this movie. Like, that's one of many things that elevates this movie to my favorite in the series. Like, just their relationship, how like it starts off as just like, yeah, little brat, like whatever, I'm just here for 3 weeks and I'll be gone and everything. And then they just bond and everything, and like, and they're together through the end of the film and save each other's lives and stuff. And like I mentioned earlier, how in the series what happens and stuff, and just so good. I love their whole little dynamic there. I love their whole little relationship. Like when you see her start to open up to him, when he says, let me see you, do you want to see me say your name backwards? So then he just turns around and it says Kyle, and you see her laugh and everything. It's such a cute little dynamic. I love their relationship. How the fuck did Chucky tie both of Andy's legs and both of his arms to the bed without Andy waking up? That's insane. Like, seriously? I'm sure there are people who are that heavy sleepers, but like, I'm not. Like, I've said on the channel, I'm a total night person. Like, I don't get a lot of sleep. I'm an insomniac, fucking. But if anyone, like, even they wouldn't get a rope around one of my legs or arms before I woke up and then freaked the fuck out that there was a moving doll doing it. But there's no way that he did that. Then the whole explanation about it and stuff, and the reaction from Mr. Simpson and everything, and saying that it's fucking Kyle did it. Like, really? Like, you would really think that this teenage girl tied up this fucking little kid, this 8-year-old kid, just so she could sneak out and go to a party or hang out with whoever the hell she was hanging out with? That's insane just right off the bat. But then if you remove that option, there's no way Andy did it himself. So like, isn't there like a little like suspicion like in the Simpsons' mind that like something's weird here? No? All right. Well, because it's just never addressed again and stuff. I mean, Kyle brings it up and says, how'd you tie yourself to the bed and stuff? And he's like, you're like everybody else, you don't believe me and stuff. But besides that, like, it's never brought up again, ever. And that's just insanely ridiculous. That these parents and stuff, these foster parents, just like laugh it off, I guess, that this poor kid was like tied to the bed. Like Chucky apparently is like huge into fucking like bondage and stuff like that or something, because that's the only way to explain that away. Uh, the whole school scene with the teacher and everything, and seeing the "fuck you" written on his paper, and then having him stay after and stuff, and she leaves, and then Chucky comes in and starts trying to attack Andy, and then he gets locked in the closet, and this whole little manipulation of like, Andy, I promise I'm not going to hurt anybody else. Like, I love it so much, man. Chucky's just such a great character. He's such a fucking icon. And just screaming, and then he just immediately back to screaming, like, you son of a bitch, like, get back here. It's so awesome. Then the teacher comes in, and there's a few really tense scenes in this movie. Like I said in the last one, like, especially like if this is your first time watching this movie, or like, you know, back in 1990 when it first came out and the people that were watching there's some tense stuff in there, and in this one. But like, people who know of Chucky, which is almost everybody, they know now. So like the tension's kind of stripped away, like I said, just like for the first movie. But like, it's still very well done. Like the whole scene with her like looking through the closet and everything, and then the ball falls on top of her and stuff. And then Chucky fucking pops out with, what is it, like a pump or something? Like, yeah, because he pushes the pump into her. That's a fucking unique little kill right there. I don't think I've ever seen a like a pump used for a kill in a slasher movie or anything. So that's cool. Then just beats her to death with the yardstick and everything. Awesome scene. That whole school scene is so great. The whole concept and idea of being a small child, like 8 years old that Andy is in this movie, and in the first 6 years old, like in that whole little young range, and having something like this happen to you, but it's so out there and unbelievable of something that's happening to him, and no one believes him. That's got to be so hard, man. Like being a little 8-year-old kid, and you know in your heart and soul that this is true and that this is happening to you, and you're scared to death that this doll is going to come and kill you or steal your soul and coming into your body, is terrifying. Like, imagine being 8 years old and being in that situation, and you got a fucking killer doll that's possessed by the soul of a serial killer who's fucking trying to kill you and or put himself into your body, and no one believes you. No one will listen to you. Your mother was taken away to a fucking psych ward just for defending you. Like, that's fucking terrifying to me when you think about that. Like, especially that it's happening to such a young kid. Like, you know, I mean, it's scary in any situation, you know, being like you're the crazy one and stuff, and like everyone else is sane for not believing you, even though you're right. But I just think it's even worse that it's a young child that this happens to, which maybe is why I don't care for 3 as much. Like, I love every film in this franchise, like I said in the first video, but one of them has to be last, like with any franchise or any list or anything like that. And Child's Play 3 for me is my least favorite in the series. I don't know if it's just because of it's an adult Andy and stuff, and in the military academy and everything, but I don't know what it is. But I don't know. 3 has never hit me as well and as the rest of the franchise. I still adore the movie, but we'll get into that in 3, which I'll be watching and knocking out right after this. But like what I was just saying about with Andy and stuff, like, can you really blame though, like Mr. Simpson? Like when he like opens the door and like after Andy saying that he left school because Chucky followed him like there and he had to run home, and then he opens the door and he shows him that Chucky's been there the whole time in the basement. Then you hear him and what the hell is her name? Joanne. talking and stuff, and he's saying like he needs professional help. Like we can like, and she's like, "What do you just want to return him?" And like, but you can't really blame him in a way. Like we can like think he's a dick because we've seen the first movie, so we know that it's true. Like what he's saying, Andy. But like from his perspective, Mr. Simpson, like he's not wrong, man. Like if I was him and this, I had a foster kid who was telling me that a doll is trying to kill him, and this is a reoccurring thing with him because that was the story he was told before he even took this kid in. I'd think the same way. This kid needs like real bad help that we can't provide him. I don't know. I just think that's a whole cool little angle they throw in there and stuff. That is just like they make him kind of come off as a complete asshole. But when you look at it that way, I mean, he's from his perspective, like he's not wrong at all. Like this kid is sick. Like this kid needs professional help in his mind, and you can't blame him for that. So I thought that's really cool. The scene when Andy is going around to in the kitchen, opening drawers and stuff, trying to find the electric cutting knife and stuff like that to try to kill Chucky in the basement. I don't know why they shot it trying to like make us think that it was Chucky opening the drawers, because like they don't show Andy to, like his face or body or anything like that until he finds the the cutting knife in like the third or fourth drawer he opens. But the first few that he opens, you just see a hand opening it. But like we see Andy's sweater, and we know what Chucky's arm looks like. Like so that makes no fucking sense at all. I don't know why they shot it that way, like trying to make us think it was Chucky. But we know what Chucky's hand. It's made of fucking rubber and plastic and shit. Like that was a real human hand. And like I said, you could even see like Andy's sweater that he wears, the gray sweater and stuff. It's not Chucky's sleeve and anything, his little outfit. And so I don't know why they shot it like that, like trying to make us think or make the audience think that this was Chucky walking around with like the little POV shots. I don't know. I thought that was weird. And then in the basement scene, like the score is great in this movie too. Like in the first movie, I said I loved the score in the first movie the most out of the whole franchise. But there's some great stuff score-wise in this movie too, and especially in this basement scene. And it's another tense scene too, like just with Andy walking around with the electrical knife and like turning it on quick and shutting it off because he thinks that Chucky's about to jump out, and he goes in the laundry machine and opens it up and he starts poking it and everything, and then you see Chucky's shadow run, and just like they really did a good job like building tension, even though we know that Chucky's alive. And we know that he's down there and that he's going to pop out at any moment. But they still do a good job with that, of like keeping us on edge a little bit, of like, all right, we know he's there, but when the fuck is he jumping out? And then he has his whole little fight with Andy until Phil comes down. And we get one of my favorite lines in this movie from Chucky. He's just like, how's it hanging, Phil? And then he just drops and he falls on it and breaks his neck and everything. And then immediately after the whole conversation and stuff of Joanne saying to Phil and stuff, Mr. Simpson, about liking Andy and everything like that, and that like fighting with Phil and stuff about sending him back and stuff, as soon as she sees her husband with his neck broken and stuff, immediately just says, stay away from me, to Andy and stuff, and immediately thinks that he did it. Which, like, he couldn't have just fell down the stairs, like an accident or anything like that. Like, I don't know, but like she went a complete 180, like real fucking fast, man. Like she just went from like, no, I love this kid, to just like, stay the fuck away from me, you murderer. Like absolutely ridiculous. I think it's clever too how they made Kyle find out that Chucky is real and that Andy was telling the truth by Chucky burying the Tommy doll right under the swing. So that way when she's on the swing and stuff and her feet are kicking the dirt back and forth as she's swinging, and uncovers Tommy's body, I guess, but you know what I mean. He's a fucking doll. It doesn't matter. But how she just finds Tommy there with his face broken and everything, and then she just realizes right there Andy was telling the truth and everything. It's a clever way to reveal that to her. I really like that. Yeah, then another like tense scene too with Kyle going through the house looking for Joanne and stuff to try to find her after finding Tommy and knowing that Chucky's real and everything. And then you just hear the sewing machine going, and it just keeps going and going and going, and she's walking slowly and like down the hallway and into the room and everything, and then sees her Joanne sitting there and stuff, and she doesn't realize she's dead yet. And I just love the whole use of the sewing machine, like how it keeps going on. Like it really adds to the atmosphere of that scene and the tension and everything. Really, really cool. And Joanne's dead and stuff. It looked like he's like what, like slit her throat or like stitched her up or something, or slit her throat and then stitched her neck back up. I don't know. They show it so quick and stuff, but I always wondered what the hell he actually did to her, because the sewing machine was on. So did like he use that on her, like to like mutilate her fucking neck or something like that? I don't know, but awesome scene though. And then. I love when the cop pulls over Kyle and Chucky's in the passenger seat and stuff, and like he immediately is like, hey, that's one of those good guy dolls, right? So he knows these dolls, and like I said, they're so huge, everybody knows them. This is like an evil corporation with how much shit they put out there to like brainwash these kids and everything, which like the whole last movie to an extent, but not really. But in this movie, like really plays up the whole like consumerism thing, and just like playing off of, you know, people's desire to buy shit, and like they insert that little subtext in there a little bit in this movie, and especially at the beginning and stuff with the head of the company and everything saying put a lid on all this, and like just showing the whole behind the scenes with the company and stuff, and how doesn't matter what happened, but they just, some guy got fucking electrocuted and killed right in their fucking factory trying to repair Chucky, and just put a lid on it right away and everything. Otherwise you're fired, he says to the guy. Like that, just that whole little thing with like the company and trying to like prey on these little kids who fucking love this good guy shit. And it's a nice little touch that they include some of that. But when she gets pulled over and stuff, and he immediately knows it's a good guy doll, and he starts bleeding Chucky out of his nose, and he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, well, you know the dolls who pee? This one bleeds. Like, that's such a great line, man. And that cop has no suspicion whatsoever. Like, he's just like, all right, take it easy. Like, don't speed. Like, seriously, he knows what a good guy doll is. He was, like, enthralled when he first, like, saw it. He's like, that's a good guy doll. It's like, you'd think you would have heard on TV commercials, or like, I'm sure his nephew or son has one, because fucking apparently everybody has one in all these movies, because they were so goddamn popular for some reason. But like, he wouldn't have heard if these things did bleed on their own. And who would make a toy that bleeds? Like, come on, dude, that's so stupid. Really? That's absolutely ridiculous. A fucking doll who bleeds on its own. And they sell it to children. Like, come on, really? And then we get Grace's, this is my favorite kill in the movie by far, man. Grace's kill when she gets stabbed by Chucky a few times, and then she falls onto the copy machine, and her face gets copied a bunch of times, and then she falls to the ground, and the copies fall onto her body and stuff like that. Awesome. That's such a great kill. I really love that kill. So good. Even though it sucks to see Grace Zabriskie get killed. But absolutely awesome scene there. And why did Chucky have to take Andy back to the good guy factory to do the chant? Like, it seems like he had a reason for that. Like, he had to bring him specifically there. Like, why couldn't he do it anywhere? Like, that never made sense to me. The only thing I can think of, and I'm sure that I'm right on this, is that it made a great setting for the ending for the fucking filmmakers. That's exactly what it was. And it is. It's such a good ending. The whole ending of this movie taking place in the factory and stuff, and you see all the dolls standing up on the conveyor belts and stuff in the background, like Chucky's chasing them around and everything. Like, what a great setting and stuff, and just like a whole little like circle back to like, this is where he was reborn and put back together, and this is where he, well, you know, dies. But awesome. Such a cool little setting for them to, you know, place this whole ending scene in. And then we have Chucky ripping his hand off and stuff when the grate like falls down on it. Looks really good. like cool effects. Like it looks pretty decent. And he puts the knife into the stub, like Blade from Puppet Master style, which, when did Puppet Master come out? It came out before this, right? Like 89 or 88? I think 89. I wonder if this came out, this Child's Play 2 came out before people saw Blade in the first Puppet Master. I gotta look that up now, like when I finish this, because that's interesting. Because every time I see this movie, I think of Blade from Puppet Master. I'm like, oh, he's going full on Blade mode. But still looks really cool, like having that knife sticking out of his fucking stub and everything. And then we get Chucky's death, or first death, which we get in all these movies. He dies like 3 or 4 times before he's actually dead. And him going on the conveyor belt, he's like stuck to the fucking, or stapled down to the thing, and it like brings him up, and like all the doll parts get put together on him. And again, like Brad Dourif's fucking voice acting is just excellent, with his screams of pain and everything, and like it's so good, man. Like you fucking, for a second, like you kind of feel bad for this doll, like like, dude, this guy is screaming bloody murder, like he is in like the 7th circle of hell amount of pain. Like I can't, man, with Brad Dourif. He's just a fucking genius. But awesome scene. And then he comes out a complete jangled mess. Like they're all like arms and like of other dolls stuck to him, and it's just his legs there. You don't even see his face or his head or anything like that. And at first I thought that was fucking weird, because then we have him crawling and shit, like with no legs. But I guess while he was in the machine, he cut his legs off and escaped somehow, because it doesn't make sense. Like if you look the way it's like edited and stuff, when he comes down after coming out of the machine, he's so mangled up and everything, you can't even see his head or his face or hair or anything like that. Like it's just gone. And then right after that, we see him on the little scooter thing, like fucking moving himself and chasing after Andy and stuff. So the only thing I can think of is, yeah, that he cut his own legs off while he was in the machine, then just waited for it to open back up and he escaped. Otherwise, that makes no sense at all. I mean, none of this does. I said that in the last video. It's a fucking doll coming to life and killing people. None of this makes any sense, nor does it need to, because these movies are so much fucking fun, and they are so awesome. So it really doesn't matter. And yeah, his no legs on the scooter is just so funny. Then he gets fucking melted, man, with the hot plastic and stuff, just poured all over him. He turns into almost like a fucking puddle. And even fucking Kyle's like, Jesus, man, like looking at him. And he's still not dead, of course. And then we get the awesome little last kill that is supposed to be the end of Chucky, when they put the fucking hose in his mouth, and the air is fucking like making his face like puff up more and more and more until his head just explodes. Really cool head explosion for a doll, man. I mean, like when I think of head explosions, like I think of Tom Savini in Maniac, like the shotgun scene and stuff. Like what a great fucking head explosion that is. And I mean, even though I don't care for the Prowler that much, because I feel it's very slow moving, but also Savini doing the effects for that, but like that had a good one too. There's a lot of decent ones like that, scenes like that with heads being blown apart. But for a doll, it looks really, really good, like how they did that in this movie. And this is the whole face explosion, like I said, and then we just have Kyle and Andy walk out. And then again, man, I feel so bad for them. Like, especially Andy, man. He's an 8-year-old, and they're like, you know, where do we go? And she's like, I don't know, you know, like, because they don't have a fucking home. They don't have a family. Like, they went through all this shit, Andy for the 2nd time, and now what? Like, what are they going to say now? Like, is Kyle going to back him up and say, like, no, this is true, what happened? Like, this doll is alive. And then become just like Andy's mom, and like, she's institutionalized too. Like, with all these movies and stuff, like I always say, like, even with slasher movies and stuff, like, if you're the sole survivor, but especially in supernatural movies or like killer doll movies and stuff, like, you're going to fucking be institutionalized, no matter what, because no one's going to believe you. But I'm not getting into that. I already talked about that at the end of the first video. So that's Child's Play 2. It's my favorite in the franchise. just everything, just Dorff's performance with the voice acting, and just having Kyle and Andy's relationship and everything, and that whole ending scene in the toy factory, and just the look of Chucky is my favorite in this, just his facial expressions, and like especially that scene in the school when he's walking towards the teacher with the yardstick and slapping in his hand, like just the evilness on his face, man. Like they did so good with the puppeteering and everything, animatron, whatever, like all the stuff that they used, because they used a lot of different techniques to bring Chucky to life in all these films, but they did such a good job in this movie. So, and this is a lot of people's favorite Child's Play film. I know so many people who consider the second one the best in the franchise, and I am definitely one of them. But all right, guys, I will be back with Child's Play 3 in a little bit, and hopefully Bride after that, Bride of Chucky. So I will see you guys soon.